Welcome to the Bright Dharma YouTube channel. My name is Marjolein Jansen. The Buddha, he practiced a lot in nature himself. He was born under a tree. He died under the trees or amongst the trees. He gave a lot of his sermons in groves, in forests, in nature. He encouraged his disciples to also practice in nature. He said, a practitioner gone to a wilderness or to the root of a tree or to an empty hut sits down cross-legged with their body straight, focuses their mindfulness right there. Just mindful, they breathe in, mindful, they breathe out. His encouragement is to meditate in the wilderness, under a tree or in an empty hut. Nowadays we all practice mostly indoors in climate-controlled spaces. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it can be supportive to connect or to reconnect with nature. And not only when we, for example, go on a camping trip or when we go for a hike, that we reconnect with nature, but also when we meditate. For example, I practice outside every day. I do some walking meditation outside, or I sit outside. And so maybe we can all find a spot where we can sit quietly for a little bit, in our yard maybe, or on our balcony, or maybe we have a park accessible where we can sit on a bench or on a rock or under a tree. And so practicing in nature, whether it is in our backyard, on our balcony, or even in front of a houseplant, can be very supportive. Even the scientific research nowadays acknowledges how supportive it can be to be in nature. Nature can help us relax. It brings us ease. If you're outside meditating, there can be more awareness of the sense doors. There's more awareness of the wind on our skin, or the warmth or the coolness of the air. Maybe there's rain, or certain smells, or certain sounds like birds, or even traffic. You can be aware of all these different things. And so the natural world helps us to disconnect from our busy lives. It can also help us to connect to something bigger. It can help us to connect to the seasons. It can help us to connect to the cycles of day and night, to connect to the moon, the stars, the planets if we're outside. It might connect us to the vastness of the universe. We are so small and the universe is so big. And maybe that can help us give a sense of letting go of the little things that might bother us. Like this unpleasant conversation you might have had with your colleague, or maybe the stress about the to-do list. It can even help us to let go of bigger things. Like once I was on a meditation retreat and I felt a little stressed about some issue that had come up from the past, some old conditioning. I felt a little unbalanced. And I went out into the forest. There was a beautiful forest around the meditation center, and I looked at the trees, and the trees were just there. They were just being trees, and they weren't kind of worrying about all these things that I was worrying about. They just were. And that helped me to settle down. There was a letting go of this upsetness. Like if the trees can just be with whatever arises, with the wind and the rain, cold and warmth, then maybe I can do it too. Sometimes being out in nature can help us to see that everything is nature. Our body is also part of nature. Our mind, all our thoughts, emotions are part of nature. It's just all interconnected. And it's also the nature of a thing to be a thing. Like it's the nature of a tree to be a tree, a building to be a building, an emotional state to be an emotional state, like anger to be anger, kindness to be kindness. So things, bodies, mind, nature, just arising and passing away due to this natural unfolding, due to these causes and conditions. All these things are just nature. And so maybe nature can be a support for your meditation practice as well. connect to nature. Sit outside, sit under a tree, or in a park or at the ocean, and feel this relaxing effect. Feel how it helps you to disconnect from your busy life. Helps you to disconnect from your to-do list and just brings you in this here and now. And so just like the Buddha encouraged us, I want to encourage you. Go sit under a tree and you'll be well.